right. Hello and welcome to the show, everybody. Green, I got you here.
Yeah, I'm here.
And one more quick check. I still have you, Mr. Hagen.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right, guys. I think we're ready to start then. Hello and welcome to Next to Nothing, a show where we talk about gaming on a budget. I am your host, Danie K. With me, as always, Mr. Greenlee. Mr. Greenlee, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Danny.
Awesome. And no Rev this week. He's getting ready for PAX. He also had some. He's also had some misfortune relating to his boarding over at PAX. So, guys, go on over to RevSven's channel, pop him a follow. If you're like on Twitter, just be like, "Hey, dude, we appreciate you." He will be doing like a scare-a-thon tomorrow with a special um, alert where if you donate $6.66 to him, um, you will give him a scare alert, which is awesome and hilarious and funny. So go on ahead and do that, and then next week he will be back with our guest to talk about PaxSouth. Our guest this week is Mr. ZHagen from the Wasteland Active Radio podcast. How are you doing, Mr. Hagen?
I'm doing pretty good, Danny. Thanks again for having me back.
Yeah, of course. People might remember that you were on not too terribly long ago. I think in October 2019, right?
Yeah, something like that. I know it was, believe it was October, yeah.
Yeah. So for those who don't know about you, why don't you go on ahead and tell the folks what all you do and what is coming up?
Sure. Um, so for those of you guys that were not able to listen in the last time I was here, I run a podcast called Wasteland Active Radio. It's based around the story or the universe of the Fallout video game series made by Bethesda and Obsidian. Um, but basically it's an audio drama style podcast, so very storytelling based. We created our own characters. It's me and two other folks are kind of the main people that do it. um and it centers around this ghoul named Crispy, who he basically gets sent out to the Midwest from the East Coast by the Brotherhood of Steel. Originally, he believed that he was going to be doing this big assignment for him. He was going to be scouting out stuff. But anybody who knows Fallout well enough knows that Brotherhood of Steel does not work with ghouls. And so they basically sent him out there to get rid of him. And after he realized that, he found an old radio station and fixed it up. And he started his own radio show while setting up a community around the radio station. Um, and we are currently prepping for our second season. Our last season ended uh, back in I think it was early October or late September. I can't quite remember for sure. But we're prepping for our second season, which actually launches on the 22nd, so a week from tomorrow. And I personally am super excited. We have a lot of fun stuff planned. Got some new characters and everything. It's great.
Yeah. So if I can take a moment to blow some smoke up your ass. The
Okay,
first
go ahead.
season, the first season was incredibly well done. You guys have some great quality production going on. The voice acting is pretty on par, and a lot of your writing is very witty and funny. It's definitely, if you guys are fans of audio dramas, this is certainly one to check out. If you guys really enjoy Fallout and want an experience that isn't as disappointing as Fallout 76, definitely definitely try this out. Definitely check it out. Where all is Wasteland Active Radio available?
So Wasteland Active Radio, we have been growing it out like everywhere. So basically it's pretty much available wherever you can find a podcast. We have it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, um we actually have a new website that we launched not too long ago. It's called wastelandactiveradio.com, and you can stream all current episodes on there as well. We have it in so many different places. I can't even list everything. You just like wherever, basically boils down to wherever you can find podcasts online, we're probably there. And if not, let us know and we could probably put them there. But we're on YouTube. Recently set us up a YouTube channel so you can watch. It's not much for video, but if you're fans of YouTube, you can go there and find us. It's WARR Podcast is the channel name, and yeah, pretty much everywhere now.
Cool. And then where are some social media places people can keep up with you and the show?
So first of all, we do have a Facebook page, Wasteland. The full name of the show that we originally started off with, we don't really refer to it as a full name anymore, but it's called Wasteland Active Radio -Revival. So when you look it up on Facebook and stuff, it'll be the one with that dash revival. That's the second R in WARR, because for those of you who don't know, we tried doing this several years ago and it flopped, so we brought it back, and so hence the word revival. But we have a Facebook, we have an Instagram, WARR Podcast. Like I said before, we have a YouTube. But Facebook and Instagram are some of the bigger ones. Probably going to be making a Twitter at some point. No idea when that'll be. I imagine sometime soon. But yeah, Facebook and Instagram are the two biggest ones.
Awesome. I don't think there was anything else I wanted or that we need to get out of the way for that. Anything else?
I do have.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I do have one last thing. So I mentioned wastelandactiveradio.com earlier that you can all visit for any updates regarding the show as well. But tied to that, we actually have official Wasteland Active Radio merchandise now. So you can get T-shirts and stickers and all sorts of good stuff. We're gonna be updating it here pretty soon with some new merchandise. But we got like shirts, hoodies. I tried to make mugs at one point, but it just didn't work for me. So, that's on the list of things to make because I've always wanted to sell a mug. But yeah, so it's wastelandactiveradio.com, and there's a store tied to that if you're interested.
Awesome. So are you guys ready to start talking about some gaming?
Let's do it, man.
All right, so I have a game I wanted to review for a while. We have reviewed this game in the past. It's called Dead Frontier 2. The last time we I talked about this game was September 11th, 2018. I played Dead Frontier 1 as a high schooler. It was a top-down, I think, Flash game. It was set like as an MMO. Mm-hmm. So, Dead Frontier 2 is a horror survival MMORPG set in a zombie apocalypse. It's a free-to-play game. The specs that are required to play this are an Intel Core i3 or an AMD FX, 3 gigabytes RAM, Radeon HD 8550 or equivalent. You need DirectX 9, 8 gigs of space on your hard drive, and that is all you need to play the game. So not a very intensive game. Like I said, we talked about this back in September of 2018. I saw on the game's page that it said it was released June 2019 and not 2018. So maybe the earlier version I played was early access. I don't exactly remember the details. That being said, if it was early access and then it got a full release only a few months later, that would be what? 7 months later, I think. Then there's more problems here than what I'll even list out. So in Dead Frontier 1, when you created your character, there's a class system that gave you different stat boosts in different like starting gear. So if you played as a soldier, you'd start out with like with an AR, an assault rifle. If you're an officer, you'd start out with an SMG. If you're a firefighter, you started out with an axe. If you were a preacher, you started out with more money. If you were, there's a bunch of them that were just like role playing. So, preacher, lawyer, banker, and they all basically just started out with varying amounts of money. Like a preacher got like an extra $50 to start out. A lawyer got an extra $250. A banker got like an extra $500, something like that. There were also classes like doctor or scientist or farmer who would get survival equipment at a better rate. Like scientists would actually produce medicine. Doctors healed themselves better, or their medical equipment lasted longer. Farmers got food faster. They got like rations every day. Something to that effect. There is no class system in this game. It's entirely based on how you build yourself out right from the get-go. Which I remember at the time I criticized. I said that was probably a bad idea. I still agree with that. There's nothing that makes any like level 2 to 5 characters any different from anything else. There's a lot of nuance that is gone with the removal of a class system. So that's kind of like when you first start getting set up. The game is in Unity, for those who are curious about how the development process. The game was built in Unity. So what has changed in the over a year since I've talked about this game? Not much. You still start with the same boring weapons, which is you start with a shitty little pistol and a 2x4. The animations for the melee weapons are still exactly the same as they were before, and there's no nuance in the melee weapons. You just do the same swing all the time. Doesn't matter if it's a board, if it's a bat, if it's a pipe. It doesn't matter if it's a sword or a shovel or an axe. It is the same stock swing. Which means there's also little to no nuance in how the combat actually works. So everyone starts out with this melee, and you have to basically use the melee because anything that creates sound, like firearms, attracts more zombies. So when you're at low levels and it's already difficult to deal with crowded rooms that have zombies, you get punished by using firearms. And that's still the same. The sound system still works the same. The gun-wise, nothing really feels or sounds satisfying to use. They feel kind of whippy and ineffective. And there's still really no nuance to the guns that I've seen. In fact, I'm sorry, I apologize because I do have some video that I can show here. So the guns, like I said, kind of feel wimpy and ineffective. They all kind of feel the same. They don't really sound that great either. So there's nothing that makes guns fun to use either. So that's just like the combat and the basic gameplay loop. Whoops, I made a boo-boo. One moment.
I was waiting to see how long it'd take you to notice.
Yeah.
So, my apologies to anyone who saw that eyesore. While I'm fixing this, do you guys have any questions about the combat?
That was my face.
So, combat. Questions you guys have at all?
I watched a good fair amount of the combat. And honestly, it did look a lot as wooden as you were describing it. There was no nothing special to see with the even like shooting with the scoped gun. It was pretty hard to watch.
Yeah.
Let alone play.
I think you watched me as I was doing a research stream
For about an hour and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not the experience was not great.
It was not great to watch either.
No, so I definitely don't recommend this for any content creator looking to get popular. So the other part of this game, because I said it's a zombie survival MMO, is obviously the looting. It kind of it has like a looter shooter whole thing to it. Looting isn't great. Like this game kind of has an identity crisis where it wants to be a role playing game, it wants to be a survival game, and it wants to be a looter shooter. The looting aspect, there should be a point when you're like a low level player where you're just overburdened with shit and you don't know it's shit, right? Um, you come across one or two lootable items, in an area. Like you might come like up against like one or two lootable items in a building, first room. One or two lootable items in the next room. You might get to a third room and there'll be nothing. Bosses might not drop anything. It's very loot just is very kind of meh. There's
Very
nothing
sparse.
very sparse, and it's never very rewarding. Like I said, you should feel like you're overburdened with crap. Like you should not know how or what to take. And it really for anything like this, because you don't want new players just with shit, right? You don't want new players who spend all this time and just don't find anything. That's not very satisfying. When in a game that already does not feel satisfying in any capacity, that's already kind of, that's kind of adding fuel to the fire. I think I played the game for maybe 2 hours, and I haven't touched it since. So yeah, and those were all problems I think that were there when we talked about the game last. Another thing that I talked about, or I didn't talk about, and I think I gave it the benefit of the doubt that this was going to improve, was UI. So the UI is just really flat and boring. The UI that you guys are seeing on the screen in this gameplay is the exact same UI that is still there. And this video is a year old. It's very flat. It's a menu style thing. There's no illustrations. There's no visual dynamics to it. There's no depth. There's no sorting that I saw. It's just a list of items in your inventory. It is, you have this gun of this rarity. You have this many bullets. You have trousers, shirt, cans of food. There's no real illustrations for any of that. The UI is just trash. Now I thought that maybe over the course of a year and a half or so, that would have gotten better, but it really certainly didn't. Let's see what else. I just have so much here. Oh, skills. It doesn't tell you if skills stack, if, it doesn't show you, hey, these are the skills that you leveled up, here are the skills that you can get, these are the skills, they work well with. The skills, again, just appear as a list. It's like, you run 2 times faster, you get hungry less less easy, you can heal yourself better, and that's it. It just shows you a list. It doesn't show you anything. It doesn't give you like a skill tree or perks. It doesn't go, it's, there's no survival or combat or research skill trees. It doesn't set it up in any way that makes it engaging for the player to use. At least not in my opinion. I mean, again, these are my subjective opinions, but I don't think that they're necessarily wrong. Golly. There are different kinds of zombies in the game. I will give it that. There are different kinds of zombies and enemies in the game. It's not just all the one zombie. When I played, it really was just like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 zombies. But that's because I was in a starting area. Another thing that it does have going for it is gameplay-wise, there is this thing where the hordes will like attack your outpost at peak server times, so that when people are on, it'll kind of judge a peak for the day, I believe. This is something that was a holdover from Dead Frontier 1, where you'd get like increased XP and there would just be zombies everywhere. So that has stayed, and I actually did pop in at a time when that happened, and that was kind of fun. You see everyone kind of killing zombies and trying not to lose this outpost, because if you do, then there's no NPCs, in the area. I think like they won't trade with you, or you can't call them for backup if they die. And I think that happens, and I think it stays that way for like 24 hours. Um, but yeah, otherwise I've been really unimpressed with this. This game has been in development for almost 2 years. Um, it didn't change. I don't think it changed any of the things I had problems with before, like the friend system and the fact that maps are still instances. Right? It's not like an open world. You load an instance every time you go somewhere different. If you see how like they're opening and closing doors there, let me get rid of the ad that just popped up. But if you see how like they're opening and closing doors and that's loading,
Mm-hmm.
that's basically a new instant. And it will just say if you're on this server, then yeah, if someone's in that room, you're gonna see that person. But it's definitely not open world. You can go anywhere you want, but I don't. You go through a lot of loading screens. Um,
Every single door.
every single door, every time you go through to a different road or something like that, yeah, it's a different. It's you go through a lot of loading screens, which gets really annoying when you're constantly going through loading screens. I do think this is like a dev team of one, so I'm trying not to like be super shitty and like just crap over the game. Because if he's doing this all on his own, I don't want to discourage him, but like I said, it's been 2 years and a lot of stuff that should have been fixed by now just hasn't been. The game, otherwise, it runs fine. If it's something that appeals to you, maybe there's no harm in trying it out. I just don't think I can go back and play it. Maybe a year, maybe another year, and if problems with UI, problems with animations, problems with looting still exist, then I can't really suggest it. But that's Dead Frontier 2. that's my return to Dead Frontier 2. You guys have any
To be
questions?
fair, to be
Go
fair,
ahead.
one person can do a lot in 2 years. I mean,
Yeah.
granted, it is just one person, but I mean,
Yeah.
you see what people build in Minecraft in 2 years, 6 months, a
Yeah.
year, and I mean, as long as you're dedicated to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I said, I don't want to come off as mean or shitty or anything like that. I really don't. But these were just things. It was just it was it was like the exact same. The animations thing really got me with the fact that that there's no nuance in melee combat, and for beginning players, who are basically going to be stuck to melee for probably the first 10 levels, because they would starting players will struggle to deal with crowds. I don't know, it just wasn't. That annoyed me to no end. And I don't know necessarily if that can really be fixed without a whole team. Unless if it's like a single dev team, unless they're gonna put in a lot of time in redoing the combat system for melee. You know, there was no light attack or heavy attack that I saw. Stuff like that. Even if there was like a light and heavy attack, that would have been better.
It spiced it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm, exactly. If there's a bit more strategy other than just hitting, you know. Yeah. What about you, Mr. Hagen? Any thoughts or questions?
So I guess when it comes to like horror slash zombie killer games or whatever, I guess kind of rewarding to take everything I say with a grain of salt because I don't play these kind of games very much.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really since Resident Evil 4. But it seemed I agree with pretty much everything that you said, Danny. It seemed very bare bones for the most part. And to a certain extent, not completely, but to a certain extent, it kind of reminds me of like a shitty knockoff version of Left 4 Dead. Just minus the multiplayer.
Mm.
But like just the way that everything's like because you said that there are different kinds of zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're supposed to be anyway, I guess.
There
and
are
stuff.
there
Yeah.
certainly are. I saw a gameplay where people were fighting different zombies.
Yeah. But like I've never played the game. I'm purely going off of what I've seen on like online and what the video that you were just showing. But that's just kind of my initial, I guess my initial reaction to it is like, oh, I've kind of seen this before, but the ones I've seen are better.
Yeah. And just a quick shout out to Yippee Ki Yay, Mr. Falcon, who I was using his gameplay video there. So if you guys are interested, go check him out. Um, but yeah, uh, I mean, it looks like it's very heavily inspired by Resident Evil and Silent Hill,
Yeah.
and the game just seems to have an identity. Excuse me, guys. The game just seems to be having an identity crisis. It doesn't know what it wants to be. It can't decide if it wants to be an RPG. It can't decide if it wants to be a looter shooter. It can't decide if it wants to be a survival game. And so it just kind of half-asses all of them. And does it in such a way that it's not engaging to play. I don't feel engaged when I was looting. I didn't feel engaged crafting my character in any way. So it's got a lot of work, and hopefully, maybe they will improve that.
So the question that I want to impose on you
Mm-hmm.
is, where would you place this in your least favorite games category of 2019?
Hold on. Can you pose that one more time? And I'm going to apologize because I can hear a train coming.
Uh, where would you put this in your least favorite category of 2019 games?
So would I say this is my least favorite game that I played in 2019?
How would you rank it?
How would I rank it? Like,
Yeah.
I would probably say that, I don't know, it's not the worst game. I think if I were to give it like a grading, it would probably be like out of 10, 10 being perfect. This is probably a 3.5. I guess, and it's mostly just for like lack of polish and engaging gameplay. Right, like the game isn't shit. Like it's not built in broken, and like if I hit like the sprint button, I don't like end up all the way down at the other side of the street. It's not like it's not like Day of Dragons where it is completely empty of gameplay. Right, which for those who don't know, the Day of Dragons thing, Sid Alpha and Big Fry have incredible stories about Day of Dragons. It's that the gameplay itself is insane, but the fucking developer is even worse. So I mean, the game functions as a game. It has things to do. So I can't just say it's like, a 1 out of 10 absolute failure. I will give it like 3.5. It's got gameplay to it. It works and functions as a game, and it's not completely busted.
Okay.
I could agree with that.
Cool.
It definitely has some level of potential. They just gotta keep working on it.
Yeah. For sure. Like I said, add a class system, add different animations or like heavy or light attacks to melee, and overburden new players with shit. Like it doesn't matter if the loot is good. Just overburden new players with stuff so that they feel like they're doing something. It's at higher levels where players should feel like they aren't finding stuff. At least in my opinion. So next, guys, do we want to talk about some of the CES stuff?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Excellent. Okay. So, CES, the Consumer Electronics Show 2020, occurred over the last week. I think we started getting some some preview stuff last show, but mostly throughout Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and over the weekend. we started seeing real stuff from CES. And yeah, so like one of the first big things for gaming that we saw was the Razer Tomahawk. Green is smiling because he you kind of asked for this or predicted it in some way.
Like literally 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Like, I'm gonna leave that on you to find.
Yeah, it was the last of the year, last of the decade, last of the decade podcast.
So the Razer Tomahawk is it's a new gaming PC. That is a small, compact package that is built with a modular design. So it relies on a new version of Intel's NUC, which they're compact devices already meant for different things. A lot of times they're used to soup up different smaller computing devices. This latest NUC will have options where the MOBO, CPU, RAM, and storage will all be on a single PCIe card. So basically how this works is that you pick up the NUC you prefer, selecting the RAM, which you can have up to 64 gigs of DDR4. You select your storage capacity. You pick a 9th gen Intel processor up to an i9. Then you select your GPU, which you can go up to an RTX 2080 Super. You plug them into a PCIe slot that's available in this case. And then the case already has the power supply in it, the appropriate power supply, and you just plug in the cables and boom, you're set, ready to go. And then you can change things out in the future. I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to handle stuff, if, like with new graphics cards or whatever else, how simple that's going to be. Or if you have to get like a specifically shaped one for the Tomahawk, I'm not entirely sure.
I'm sure they'll be giving dimensions for the GPUs.
Yeah.
It looks like it can fit a Founders card, like a 2080 Founders.
Yeah, it looks like it'll fit most graphics cards. Yeah. So that's the process of building a Tomahawk. As opposed to this, I kind of wanted to break this down. So as opposed to breaking down the case, mounting the MOBO, installing the power supply, managing the cables from the PSU to the MOBO, carefully installing your processor so not to bend a pin, installing a heatsink and other cooling if so desired, and then you have to install your RAM, and then is also if you have like some other cooling that like requires some like actual mounting and not just one of the little heatsink fans. So then you install your RAM, and then you have to put the GPU into the PCIe slot and make sure that you secure the I/O to the back of the case before closing up the case and hoping that you did everything right before you try to boot it up. Now, it's actually not that hard. I kind of put some exaggeration in there, but that is the process.
You heathen.
What?
You want to put the CPU and RAM in before you mount the motherboard. It makes life so much less complicated.
That's valid. That's not 100% wrong.
100% validation. Ask Linus. Ask Jay's 2 cents. Ask Bitwit Kyle. They'll tell you. Put that shit on first. Then slap that bitch in.
See, I just put I mounted the motherboard and then I turned the computer on its side.
See, I mean... It's just you slap that box down, you put everything on, good to go. Throw it in there.
Okay,
That's
still.
what he said.
I got big hands, okay? You can't be doing that.
So maybe you don't mount the MOBO into the case first. That's kind of negligible. But you still have to put the CPU in, make sure you mount your cooling, put your RAM in, and then once you put it all in, then you got to slot the GPU into the PCIe slot and make sure all the I/O matches up with the I/O shield of your case.
Yeah. Essentially, it comes down to the cable management.
Yeah.
And the cable sides of everything, which, I mean, this one is essentially... The Tomahawk is next to nothing for cords and cables. Yeah. It's all essentially prefabricated. Mm-hmm. You got that. I don't know if they're calling it a motherboard for the case, like a PCI mother, like its own separate thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to go down.
Yeah.
but it seems extremely plug and play.
Yeah. It's so I'm interested in it because I enjoy compact devices. My desk is a fucking monster. My case is a monster. I have two very large monitors. Honestly, like my desk, my entire system is just kind of unruly. Um, and so I enjoy something that's maybe about hold on, maybe about like yay big, and I can just slap on the back of a monitor. I like that idea. I do have some concerns about it. Space, or if you have like a 1 terabyte hard drive and you're doing like a lot of video editing, or you have a lot of games. Which, if you don't just regularly uninstall games you're not playing, I don't know what you're doing. But are you gonna have to get like a tower of hard drives? Because a
Well,
lot of cases already have slots for hard drives. I have two in, and I have space for another three in my case. Um, you
if
look like you're
that's the
about to say
goal,
something.
this thing isn't for you.
Yeah.
This is I would consider it a niche item, just because this is going to be more geared to the people who are either entry level or they're tired of tinkering or they're looking for something form factor and they're not really worried about the specs.
Okay.
Um, if you're an enthusiast, uh, if you're a graphic designer, editor, streamer, hardcore gamer, this may not be your thing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Especially like the water cooling enthusiasts. I mean, they say that
Yeah.
they're going to be having support for water cooling as well. I don't see that happening very well in such a small form factor. To
Do you?
say well,
Yeah. Do you think
uh,
Linus will try to put this into a an aquarium with mineral
ab-
oil?
absolutely. Honestly, I see Jay's 2 cents doing more water cooling with this
Yeah.
than Linus. To be perfectly honest.
Um. So this you kind of hit something there. We're saying that it's fairly niche for people who are interested in just starting building PCs or getting interested in PC gaming as opposed to console gaming or mobile gaming. One thing that this is, and you're right, it's not really geared towards enthusiasts. And part of that is you don't really get to choose your GPU or CPU. You're kind of limited to what they're going to offer for this. You're limited to Intel. So if you wanted AMD, you're kind of SOL for this kind of solution.
For
Um,
now.
for now.
For now.
Um, well, a lot of it, from what I was reading, and I'm not a computer scientist or hardware specialist at all, right? Take
Mhm.
everything I say with a grain of salt because I'm probably an idiot. But from what I understand is that a lot of this is built on infrastructure and proprietary technology from Intel. And so a lot of Intel products are going to be used, or are going to be there by default. If AMD comes out with something similar or makes a deal with Razer, I could see that happening. But in terms of like your processors, you're just going to be stuck to Intel. Um, Go ahead.
And the NUCs are more of the the compact style. So this is more of like laptop power versus a full size desktop power.
Mm-hmm.
Which, don't get me wrong, you can get a really nice laptop that kicks ass.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, you're spending a lot more money, and I know they're gonna give some options between like core size and um, RAM size and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still gonna be fairly limited, especially without that competition with AMD.
Yeah. Um, but I mean, I guess the other thing I was gonna mention, yeah, I mean, if you're someone who needs storage, this is probably not gonna be your greatest choice. And with it being designed for gamers, I could see that being an actual problem. So you might need to get like some externals and some sort of hard drive tower that you'd keep on your desk. Also, I/O. I'm kind of curious about I/O. Because if this is geared for gamers, then mouse, keyboard, headphones, probably mics if they're running their mics and their headphones separately. Um, Speakers if they're running USB speakers for when they're not gaming. These are all things I'm kind of curious about the I/O. How much I/O it's going to have. Are people going to need to buy hubs for it? Um, Or are they going to be shuffling things a lot? That's just a question I kind of have. I'd like to see the IO stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, what else about this thing do you want to talk about? Or
Are you ready?
yeah,
Are you ready for it?
yeah.
You know who would have benefited from this
Hmm.
proprietary technology
Hmm.
3 or 4 years ago?
Hmm.
Xbox and PlayStation. This is exactly what consoles need to do. Simply because a lot of gamers when they pick up a console, or when they're trying to decide what do they want to game on. If they're picking console, they're picking it because either price, or their expertise in building. Um, just generally, PCs are more expensive than consoles, generally,
Yeah.
unless you're doing like an extremely budget build. Now, this would give the option for the console market to not only gain money each and every year by releasing new modular parts for that said uh, console using these parts, but then they could come out with a new PCI Gen 4 slot every 3 years, and Gen 5 and Gen 6, and re-release this Xbox One, Xbox 2, Xbox 3, all while still continuing to have it modular with these new parts every year. So they could slap their brand sticker on these new parts, sell them every year, then sell a whole new series 8 years down the road, and they would make so much money. And people who are playing consoles or on PlayStation, Xbox, they they would still have systems that are quality and can hold up with the new games that are coming out year and year and year
Hmm.
without being held back by hardware. This would kill it. This would like smash the console war.
Yeah.
This would give them so much goddamn money. They wouldn't know what to do with it. They would be rolling in money. Sony would be having a heyday. They would buy back Marvel.
So to your point, I think there's a point that you have there that Xbox, I think, is kind of seeing Microsoft in particular seeing the writing on the wall, because they're kind of ending this whole generational exclusivity kind of nonsense that has plagued the market probably since the beginning of time.
Oh yeah.
Where they're not going to be focusing on exclusive releases for the Xbox Series X. Everything is going to kind of all their stuff is going to get across Windows and Microsoft devices, across the board. So Xbox One users will get the games and the updates, and Xbox Series X will do that as well, and so will Windows. Sony, I think Sony will probably be the ones that will probably get crushed by this. Just my opinion on recent announcements and on devices like this, if they become more popular. I foresee Sony probably struggling here very shortly. Mr. Hagen, what are your thoughts on this?
So, um, I I guess ultimately I agree for the most part with Mr. Green over here. Um, in that, so like he's completely right. Like as a console gamer myself, I do know that the biggest reasons why I tend to err towards consoles as opposed to PC, although I do some PC gaming, but I err more towards consoles is because of the price. Typically PC builds are super expensive, as opposed to like the $300 that a console is. But yeah, I think that I Danny, I do agree with you though. I think that like if this were to happen, I definitely think that that Microsoft would have an advantage because they have multiple channels that they can operate through. Sony does, but not to the greatest extent. At least not as far as I've seen. I could be way wrong, but it's like because Microsoft has the PC network, also has Xboxes and all that other stuff, and Sony has like they have the PlayStation, but as far as gaming is concerned, I think that's just about it, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Well, and I mean, it's been with only the last 4 or 5 years that Microsoft has realized that they own Windows, right?
Yeah.
They focus and spend so much time on Xbox, and kind of forgot that there's a huge market for PC gaming.
Yeah.
Sony doesn't have the reach on PC that Microsoft does obviously, right? They
Right.
don't have the most popular piece. They don't have the most popular computer operating system available.
The VOs.
Yeah.
I
So
forgot about the VO actually. So
and the closest they ever had was that early PS3s had Linux, but Sony nixed that because of security problems through a firmware update. So yeah, I mean that's the Tomahawk from Razer. We have some more stuff to talk about, but I think right now would probably be a good time to go to a quick break. What do you guys say?
I'm cool with it.
yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys, we'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Okay, Dad.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
Yeah, that's much better.
All right, and we are back, and I remembered to turn on the audio this time when we came back from break. I forgot to do that. So I've developed some new ways of doing the show where I mute things in OBS, and they're technically videos that play with some music and stuff like that. And last week was the first week with it, and we went a solid minute and 30 seconds just about where we were muted to the audience.
We were having a great conversation too.
True, we were. So we have some more CES 2020 stuff to talk about. We're gonna kind of keep with Razer, but we're kind of moving towards a very similar product here. So this was the Razer Kishi, Kishi. Did you guys look at this thing at all?
Yeah, this is the one that I actually got a pretty good chance to look at a couple different times. It looks sweet.
Yeah, so the Kishi is a universal mobile gaming controller designed to give your phone the same basic profile as a Nintendo Switch. It's going to be available for iOS and Android devices. Basically, two handles. On both handles, there's a joystick on your left side. There's a D-pad on your right side. There's the XYBA. It's going to connect through the Apple Lightning or USB-C for low latency play, and also supports pass-through charging. So basically, what it's going to be doing is it's going to take your phone. Let me make sure. There we go. Just in case anything embarrassing comes up. So it's going to take your phone and then slap a controller on either side and hold it in place so that you hold your phone in with the controllers and can manually input them. Which is actually pretty fucking sweet. It also, the controllers do connect to each other. So I believe what you could do is do like a Bluetooth connection, and like set the phone down and mount the phone with like a pop socket or mount it on a table, so you're not bending over like this all the damn time and like straining your neck. And
That's how you get strong. Okay.
That doesn't cause back and neck problems at all.
No, muscular dystrophy is not a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is really, it's interesting because I've seen devices like this, but nothing's really taken off. Now, with Razer's name on it, do you guys think this can take off?
I don't think it depends on the name, more so the support. I think that's the biggest issue, is the game developers that are doing mobile games have to be able to support this. PUBG, I know, wasn't supporting controllers for the longest time. PUBG Mobile. Fortnite, I know they did it after like a month. They started allowing Bluetooth controllers. So, as you said, it's not something that's new. I saw something like this at Best Buy 4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
I almost bought it because at the time, I thought it would be cool, especially with PUBG Mobile coming out. So yeah, that's my biggest thing is, will there be support for controller add-ons for mobile devices coming soon?
Yeah. What do you think, Mr. Hagen?
So I think it's super cool. I know that, like you guys both said, I know it's not anything new, but I think the concept is generally pretty sweet. I also, granted, I'm not much of a mobile gamer. Every time I play a game on my phone, I burn out after 2 weeks. It's pretty much exactly 2 weeks, so it's kind of but I mean, I think I would even give this a shot at some point, because I also have big hands and big thumbs, and it freaking sucks when I'm trying to play a game and it's like, I didn't mean to hit that button. But
man, I feel you. I feel you, dude. These ham chops.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Those meat gloves.
Sausage fingers of the gods.
At the same time, though, I can't help but feel that unless it does get some kind of support, like Green was saying, it's gonna end up being it's gonna end up being a high tech novelty. I think like there's some people that are gonna be crazy for it.
Yeah.
But I think unless you get those popular games like the PUBG, COD Mobile, those kind of popular games behind it, they're just gonna be like, oh, cool. Oh, we can't use it. Oh, then never mind.
Yeah. Now,
I do have to add.
Yes.
There's actually two things that would make this take off.
Okay.
Would be the support and the price.
Okay.
And don't forget strippers.
Yeah, don't forget strippers. Because if they put a price tag of like $60 on this, I don't know how feasible that would be to purchase this to play mobile games. Especially since a lot of the mobile game players are more of the budget aspiring players as it is. I mean, they sink a few dollars here and there into a mobile game, unless you have like the fanatic ones. They're few and far in between the fanaticals that will drop hundreds of dollars into a mobile game.
Those are what the industry call whales.
Yeah, my mother-in-law and her husband
are they whales?
Are hardcore. They're like, they are the blue whale of the mobile gaming industry. Yeah. They dropped I think $500 in 3 months on this Dragon Mania game thing,
Oh gosh.
$500.
Woof.
Yeah, yeah.
Woof.
So
The freemium
and
is strong with this one.
it's insane too, because she's in a clan and she acts like it is do or die, life or death in this game.
Damn.
Okay, but so it all comes down to the price tag as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I would buy this if it was in between 20 and $30, just to have it, just to try it out.
Mm-hmm.
If it works on PUBG Mobile, I mean, I play PUBG Mobile when I remember that I have it.
Yeah.
So,
So
uh, yeah, that's the biggest thing.
let me ask you this:
Mm.
if Project xCloud and Google Stadia become viable products, where you can play games on your phone, no problem, zero latency, as advertised and dreamed about by many gamers, would you pick this up for something like that?
That is a very high hypothetical question. If I was willing to spend the money, honestly, no. Actually, I would say no.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we are actually going to talk about what's next. I'm gonna save it for the Alienware. So no, I wouldn't. I would not.
How about you, Mr. Hagen? If Google Stadia or Project xCloud, if you had a Google Stadia or xCloud subscription and you were interested in playing on the go, would you use this for your phone?
Probably not. Purely because to the thing that I mentioned earlier, um I I mobile gaming and me do not get along. Like I have a Nintendo Switch and I like using that, like
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. Um but even then I mainly use it as a like on my TV. I think I've only used it as a like a mobile game, like a handheld game system, like maybe twice.
Mm-hmm.
Um and even then like I didn't go very far. So I I guess I've never been super interested in mobile games, partially because of my hands, but also just because I don't know. I've always just preferred to have a normal controller in my hand,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I'd rather not have to drop. I'd rather not drop a bunch of money for something that I'm more than likely going to get burnt out on within a month.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so but I could see people doing, like, if that situation that you have described, if that comes to life, I could see quite a few people, especially if they're whales, jumping at. Just me personally, I don't think I would.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this, and we'll kind of go back to the other Razer product, the Tomahawk, real quick. Um, are you guys hot? Just starting with the Tomahawk, are you guys hot or cold on that? On the Tomahawk, are you guys, really feeling that, or nah? Really actively turn me off.
Like a white dwarf sun for the Tomahawk.
You're pretty hot on that.
I'm hot.
Yeah.
Like I think that is solid equipment.
Okay. Mr. Hagen, on the Tomahawk, are you
I
hot or are you cold?
I would say I am lukewarm.
Okay.
Um, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm definitely interested.
Mm-hmm.
I am 100% interested. Um, but I'd have to look into it a little bit more. Um, and it would also I haven't seen anything about price, so that would definitely dictate part of it as well. But
Yeah.
um, I am definitely interested, and I am willing to look into it further. But I would not be able to say yes or no at this juncture.
Okay. So let's go to the Kishi now. Green, hot or cold on the Kishi?
It's gonna depend on price. Right now, without a price, I would say it's pretty cold.
Okay.
I mean, it'd be interesting if it was, as I said, under $30.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably pick it up.
Okay.
I'm not gonna spend. I'd try not to spend $60 on a PlayStation controller, let alone uh, something for my mobile phone
Yeah.
that I'm hardly gonna use.
Okay.
Um, And I would have to agree. I would be fairly cold as well. I wouldn't say ice cold. Like if I had a friend that had it, I'd borrow it from him for a while. But I would definitely not go out of my way to buy something like that.
Yeah.
I definitely think it's cool. Don't get me wrong on that. Like I said before, I think it's kind of a cool like niche / novelty item. But I personally am not super interested in it as something I would use.
Yeah. Just real quick, because I forgot to say how I was feeling on the Tomahawk. I'm a little above lukewarm on the Tomahawk. I could see the Tomahawk, especially if I wanted to do a stealth build. I could be cool with the Tomahawk. On this Kishi thing, a little below lukewarm on it. Where I would really like to see this is cloud gaming. If cloud gaming becomes a viable, possibility for the vast majority of gamers, I could see this actually being a thing. You have your Stadia controller at home that you use on your laptop, your desktop, or your, with your Chromecast Ultra HD that's overheating. On your TV, and then you have this that you throw in your backpack when you head out the door to play a game on your lunch break. Green is giving me a look, but without like cloud gaming, I can't really see this being an option I would be interested in. Green, what does that look for?
So I was reading more into the article.
Uh-huh.
And the predecessor to the Kishi, the Razer Jungle Cat, the price was $99.
Ooh.
So you're gonna have to expect something around $99.
Ooh, yeah, that's a little high.
That's gonna be a solid no for me.
That's a no from you, dog.
That is 100% a no from me, dog. Like I am no.
Hard no.
That's a hard no, bud.
Yeah, if that's gonna be if it's gonna be upwards of $100, they're definitely spare parts, bud. It's ridiculous.
There's no way I would. As I said, $30. It is a piece of plastic with a rigged Xbox controller in it. No.
Yeah. Well, it does have a Lightning / USB-C connector in it,
Oh boy.
It supports pass-through charging. Damn it.
Oh boy.
So you kind of alluded to something here, but let's talk about the AlienWare UFO. So starting this off, this is only a concept right now, Mr. Green. Okay, this isn't on the market.
I know.
This isn't for sure coming. But they decided to bring off this concept UFO. It is a mobile PC device that looks and behaves like a Switch. It is a small screen that is portable with 2 detachable controllers. Each controller, just like the Razer Kishi, has a joystick on either side. On the right side, you have X, Y, B, A buttons, and on the right side, you have your D-pad. It has full Windows 10 running on it right now. So you could, in theory, perform other functions other than gaming, like web browsing. They showed off, like, I think Forza Horizon, right? They showed off some decent gameplay with it. You can access, like, Steam games on this thing. It's a mobile gaming PC that looks and behaves just like a Switch. Which I'm actually kind of curious to see if they do bring it to market, what design patents Nintendo has on the Switch that could possibly get them in trouble.
Well, I think the biggest thing about this though is it's a certified Steam machine. So I mean, people have been making Steam machines for a while now.
Yeah.
Not in the mobile capacity. However,
well, hold on. Is it actually a Steam machine? Because it's not running the Steam OS. It's running Windows 10.
It's running Windows 10, but the main focus is for Steam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's running Windows. When I think of like Ouya's or something else, like I always think of like it's running some sort of Linux distro designed by Valve to be for Steam. The Steam, which I think that's the Steam OS. I'm pretty sure it's a Linux distro. But yeah, I mean, it's for Steam gaming and I assume if this is going to be a thing, you could probably access any of your own PC games on it. I wonder if there'd be like an install slash sync option for it. I'd be kind of curious.
I'm excited to see that. That's the thing. I think the interest was peaked enough in CES
Mm-hmm.
that this is actually going to becoming the market.
You think so?
I think so. I'm genuinely interested in it because
Mm-hmm.
I've converted from a PlayStation console player to PC. Like I still love PlayStation, but PC holds my heart.
Yeah.
Um, so something that would be mobile, um, is really piques my interest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to see this come to market.
Mr. Hagen, what do you think?
Yeah. I to be honest, I actually don't know too much about this. So I'm not really able to give too much of an actual opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, However, one thing I will say is I definitely think, or I definitely find the Switch like um parts of like the body of it to be interesting because it's it's amazing how like the Switch hasn't been out for that long, but it's like apparently inspired a bunch of other companies.
Yeah.
uh, uh, to just like, oh, because the because we just talked about the Kishi, which is Switch esque,
Mm-hmm.
and then this is also Switch esque. So it's amazing. We'll have to see. Well, I'm definitely also interested in how Nintendo's gonna respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
But as I mean, I think it's cool. From what I have seen, but I have seen very little, and so I'm not really able to give an informed opinion
Yeah.
right now.
And just real quick, we don't know anything about the specs. They didn't announce the specs on this thing. Um, that will remain a secret until if and when it comes to market. I had some like kind of questions. Or Green, what's
It
up?
did. Uh, the CPU is an Intel 10th Gen Ice Lake.
Really,
The storage,
the Tech Radar article I read said there was no specs they could give on it. Tech Radar lied to
P-
me.
PC games, PC games and .com is the stuff for it.
Okay, what else? What are
Uh,
the specs?
so from right now, it's the Intel 10th Gen Ice Lake, uh, Gen 11 integrated graphics, removable NVMe, solid state. The screen size is 8 inches and the resolution is 1200p.
Okay.
Um,
Hmm.
the store compatibility they're saying is Steam, Epic Game Launcher, Origin, Battle.net. So essentially all the game
Mm-hmm.
launchers.
Is there going to be
And
the?
it's running.
Did it say? Did it
Sorry,
also mention the Xbox launcher on PC or
it did
Microsoft
not
launcher?
say. I would assume that it would
Yeah.
still have that, since essentially because it is running on Windows 10.
Yeah.
And then it is saying that um, is the XE style architecture of the CPU.
Okay. Um, I'm kind of curious to look at when they because this is a concept when they bring it to market. What else are they going to include in this? Are they going to include an HDMI out so you can dock it to a and display that out to another display, like you can with the Switch?
Mhm.
What's the I/O? It would be kind of interesting to like, can I connect a Bluetooth keyboard to this? Because if it's going to be running Windows 10, can I do regular browsing? Maybe answer some emails on this thing, or maybe even do some word processing. I certainly wouldn't use this for much else outside of that. Um, I certainly wouldn't try to do any video editing or photo editing on it, but
Yeah.
if it has web browsing capability, can I check my email account? Can I send off emails? Can I, open up a Word doc quick and, put a couple pages on a Word doc? Those are things I'm interested in. And then again, like the docking situation, if the I/O is there, can I, because this is going to be a PC, would I be able to put in a keyboard and mouse and play the games? I think those are all, especially if it has a dock like a Switch, like a
Yeah,
Switch
it
would.
does.
It does.
Yeah, the pictures I'm seeing, it's not like how the Switch goes in between
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like it docks in, and it looks like it's you can still look at that 8-inch screen.
Okay, so it's
But
like a mount.
exactly, but it still is the dock system.
Mm-hmm.
It's where you can HDMI out.
Cool. So
So
yeah, if you can do that HDMI out, and then hopefully there's like an like USB I/O in there where I could like put in a mouse and keyboard, and like I said, just use it like an actual PC in that moment, and then take it out from the mounting and be on my merry way, you know, off to school or off to work or something.
I do have some cons for this though,
Yeah.
just based on the concept.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the biggest thing, the biggest thing is preference. I don't like how when you put it in the dock, I don't like the look of the controller.
Mm-hmm.
It is very round.
Mm.
I should say it's not. It doesn't seem very form fitting to the hand,
Mm-hmm.
which for me is important because I have big hands.
Big
Um,
meaty claws.
big old fresh sausage hands. The second thing, and it's more of a bias thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a fan of Alienware.
Mm.
Alienware in the past has been um, pretty big about putting their name on something and overcharging for that name.
Well, yeah, they're owned by Dell. What do you expect?
Exactly, that's the thing. They are Dell. So I mean, it's an interesting concept. I like the idea. I like
Mm-hmm.
that it's not on like a console IO. It's its own Windows 10 thing, but it's mobile and it's not a laptop.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if if something extremely powerful that you want to take on the go is something you're looking for, this probably isn't for you.
Mm-hmm.
This is that's more laptop territory. But something that you're just gonna pick up and go, um, and put it in your living room when you're not using it, and then log on to it and play a quick game of Fortnite while you're sitting on the couch. This is for you.
Yeah.
The biggest thing to watch out for is that price
Mm-hmm.
because it's Alienware, so
Yeah.
it's probably gonna have a hefty title. They were saying they were thinking it was gonna be around $600, but if it's Alienware, I don't think it's gonna be cheaper than. I don't think it's gonna be that cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically it sounds like this is like basically just a handheld computer gaming system. Like it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't sound like a lot of it's like, yeah, it's a computer, but you're probably not going to be able to do much else other than game on it.
Yeah. I would like to see, I mean, if it's going to be running an actual PC OS on it, instead unless they're going to just like put Steam OS on it or something, I would like it to be able to do other things.
Yeah.
I would, not to say that I wanted to run Adobe Premiere and in the background, cook me breakfast, but just some word processing. If I can open up a Word doc with a Bluetooth keyboard, I'd be more willing to actually spend money on that than be on a laptop. I would be more interested in. Otherwise, I could just get a powerful laptop to play some games on the go if I wanted to. Um, of
Kind of
course,
make it
I'm a
into
utility
higher tech
person.
Chromebook.
What's that?
Kind of make it into like a higher tech Chromebook.
Not even a higher tech Chromebook, dude. I'm thinking like get just like a Razer Blade.
This thing is probably going to be weaker in terms of performance than the Tomahawk.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. To me, it's going to be if they're obviously they're going for like the whole Switch design thing, but you can't type or search the web on you can't type on a Word document or search the web on a Switch. That's how they're going to beat Nintendo. Mobile gaming, and you can do some other stuff with it. Connect a Bluetooth keyboard to it, do some word processing, send some emails. If it's going to be a PC, give it some PC functionality, but make it in a compact size that can go on the go. That's where
I
I would
would
like to see
say
it.
this can fall into a very specific niche too,
Mm,
the traveling gamer.
yeah.
Yeah.
The work traveling gamer. So if you travel for work a lot but you still like to play video games,
Mm-hmm.
this might be right up your alley because you'll still be able to play video games. And if it does have where you can check your email, send emails out, and even tethering via Bluetooth to your cell phone to get service, or if you can actually get this hooked up to a wireless plan alongside like Verizon or AT&T, Sprint, that would kill it too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
they would
For
sell
truckers
units.
or
I could definitely see that because then you wouldn't have to lug around like a console or whatever like in your bag if you wanted to like play at like if you're staying at a hotel or something.
Yeah.
My cousin-in-law had that problem. He's like, yeah, I just got an Xbox, so when I'm traveling, I can like play at the hotel. Like, what games should I get? And I'm just like, oh, you're gonna have a big bag.
I had a 17.3-inch laptop. It was the Asus ROG laptop.
Mm.
And that thing was a pain in the ass to travel with in air flights because you had to take that thing out of your bag.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this you can slide in your small pocket, pull it out, and you're good to go.
Yep.
Whereas that big chunky laptop, pull that sucker out of my bag.
Yeah.
And high-end laptops are heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
They
power
are.
drains fast, and I mean they're feasible to a point in mobility. They're not perfect
Yeah.
for mobility.
So where are you guys at on this? You guys hot? You guys cold? How are you feeling?
I'm at a low simmer.
Okay. Simmering. All right.
I'm simmering.
I would say I am just above lukewarm on this one. I definitely, especially from the things I'm hearing, I think it has the potential to be pretty sweet. But the price point is probably gonna hurt my decision. Not gonna lie. But I'm also not sure. I have to do some more research on it. But I'm definitely interested. I would definitely say it would be just above lukewarm on that one.
Cool. I'm right about lukewarm. It probably wouldn't be something I'd buy, but I'm definitely interested in it as a concept. I'd like to see it, and especially if they make this into a device that it's a Switch plus a PC, right? It's mobile gaming, and you can send emails out on it, kind of thing. I would probably be more interested in it at that point. Anything else on the UFO that we wanted to talk about?
No, that's everything I have. I'm definitely just excited to see how it goes.
Cool. I hear some things that I saw at CES that were interesting to me. If you guys have anything else, we'll go from me to Mr. Green to Mr. Hagen. So I just have three things here. Google Assistants are getting a lot of new features. So you can do like timed functions. So you can tell it, hey, start the coffee at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. It also is getting Google Assistants are getting Android TV support, and then you can also delete your assistant history for privacy's sake. There's a bunch of other functions. Those were just a couple that I thought were interesting. I don't know how private or how that really helps your privacy, other than from somebody who, has access to that device. If you don't want your wife to know that you just ordered 300 pounds of flour for some reason,
I like to bake, okay?
Honey, I'm learning for you. Something like that. Then, but other than that, it's just like, okay, but are you not selling that shit to? You still, you just not selling our data to these other companies? Are you keeping that assistant history for yourself? Or, those are still some questions I have. NVIDIA is putting out a new display meant for competitive gaming, and it has a stunning 360 hertz refresh rate. And then Lenovo unveiled the world's first 5G enabled laptop called the Lenovo Yoga 5G. Those are some things I saw at CES. And then Segway put out a chair.
A chair.
Yeah, so it's basically imagine a chair, and then there's like Segway wheels under it. And it has like the whole self-balancing shit. You can control it with like a little joystick on the arm, or you can lean to control it. Like you can like slightly lean forward and like tilt yourself to the sides. So we are gradually moving closer to a world in which we are all the humans in WALL-E.
Absolutely. That's the only thing I can think of. Robots cleaning our trash and bringing us beer.
Samsung did unveil robotic arms for the kitchen.
Don't get me wrong, I can be lazy. I'm a heavier set guy. But there is no way in hell that I would buy a robot to do shit for me. Like if I can't get up to go to the fridge to stuff my face, there's no point in stuffing my face. You gotta earn that shit. Okay? Earn it.
What else did you see?
All
right, go ahead, Z.
Oh, I was just saying I would get a robot to like run errands and shit for me. I would definitely do that, but nothing I can do that much.
That's what Uber Eats is for.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, aren't Uber drivers just robots anyways? Aren't the peasants just robots anyways?
Pick number 3, my lord.
Filthy peasants, filthy. Anyways, what'd you see at CES that you liked, Green Elite?
Well, AMD clapped at Intel. Essentially took over their CPUs for their for notebooks and laptops, releasing a 12-core Ryzen notebook CPU.
Yeah.
I believe they stole Asus from Intel as well this year. Intel Asus is going for AMD over Intel, which is a big deal for AMD.
Yeah.
That puts some fire under Intel's ass for sure.
Yeah.
Because Intel was dominating the market for laptops, and for AMD just to like, hello, we have a 12-core processor. Put this in your laptops and give us all your money. And then they went for it. And Asus is like, fuck it, I don't care. Let's go. So, and that's 12 cores in a laptop. That's a pretty beefy laptop. Okay?
Yeah, it is.
That might be a little too beefy for a laptop. It might you might want to keep that on a table so you don't burn your fucking legs.
Yeah. And they have to have some fans in that thing, because imagine how hot that sucker will get. Like just room temp, ambient temp, sitting on even a desk. Like my laptop, I had to get one of those bases with the fans that blew up, because that thing would literally scold you, and the CPU temps were like super.
It's a good old sperm killer, is what it is.
Oh god, yeah.
Your boys will
Jimmy,
be.
how's that new laptop of yours? Well, it runs really well, but I can no longer walk.
My balls are always sweaty.
Honey, I hope you didn't want kids.
What else did you see at CES?
That's pretty much the biggest thing for me. Other than that, the monitor that you brought up, the insane amount of hertz.
You didn't want to bring up the smart sex toys that connect to your phone?
No.
That are programmable?
No. Oh, Danny, I don't want everyone to know that I'm a fiend. Okay.
Well,
that
now
is
they
just
do.
between me and you. Okay. All right.
Mr. Hagen, what else?
Apparently we can't trust Danny with secrets. Now that I know
we
that.
Cannot.
So I have two things. One is smaller. So I'll start with that one, because that one's actually gaming related. I saw that that PlayStation released it was at least just the logo anyway for PS5. I thought that was cool. It's not huge. Yeah. It's not huge by any means, because it's just the PS4 logo with a new number on.
This
But
is
Yeah. So anyone
2
who
weeks in a
saw,
row.
so anyone who is listening to the audio only version of the show, Greenlee just did like the imagination with his hands, just like made a rainbow with his hands. I don't know what he's grabbing, but he's grabbing something. What else did you see?
I saw that. So this one's not gaming related. I thought it was kind of cool. Apparently, yeah, exactly.
He's showing his PS4 logo.
Yeah, it was
With the
PS5 is
5.
literally
With the 5.
just the same thing with a 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's cool that they're starting to work on that. That was my
Mm-hmm.
that was my biggest takeaway with that. But apparently Uber and Hyundai are working on flying taxis.
I saw
So
this.
Yeah, and so it's like apparently they're not going to be doing anything with it, or they're not planning on to like really launch this until 2023. But yeah, I guess it
Wait,
says
what year was that?
2023. 2023.
So as in 3 years.
Yes, in 3 years.
That's a no for me, dog.
Okay, continue. Continue.
That's what it says in this thing anyway. But it I guess it says it's an electric plane called the. I find this hilarious. It's called the Uber Die. UBERDAI. Yeah, exactly.
And you have to pay
but
them to do it. You're gonna pay them to crash and die.
Yeah. Well, hey, that'd probably be better than a quarter powered suicide booth, but it says the plane will carry a pilot and 3 passengers up to 60 miles at speeds of up to 180 miles per hour.
So you can crash with company.
Yep, exactly.
How many-
misery loves a company.
I was gonna say, how many times do you think Iran is gonna shoot those down?
I don't know.
It sounds like an awful idea.
Yeah, it's I like the concept because it's supposed to help get more cars off the road, but I don't. I think it's execution is gonna be the main thing.
You know what are some other great options? Trolleys and trains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And those stay on the ground.
Those stay on the ground. And you're not trusting a random pilot with your life.
Although I guess this is
like
Go ahead.
According to this article, I guess it's not the first. This isn't the first instance of this kind of thing because I guess it says last year Boeing began test flights on an electric aircraft with passenger pods, but theirs only goes up to 50 miles. Yeah, so apparently it's this market is starting to get pretty lively, quote unquote. But yeah, definitely interesting. But yeah, they're definitely gonna have to test that shit out, so like quite a bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't even like big planes. Okay, I'm not getting in a small plane with 4 other people.
Hey, where
From a
you guys
person
going? Straight to our deaths. That's what we're going.
Yeah,
Right into the ground.
He pulls up and he's like, "It's gonna be $20 non-refundable deposit before you get into this thing," and he's gonna be the only one with a
Parachute.
pack. Yeah, he's like, "Oh well, we ran out of fuel."
Here's
See
what
y'all
I'm
later.
imagining is just he touches down in this little thing, right? And you guys all climb in, and it's just like, here's the aux cable, and there's water in the cooler down by your feet. No, I don't have chewing gum for your ears that are about to pop. Fucking deal with it. And no, we don't have an in-flight movie.
As he cracks a beer.
Yeah. No, and just like a regular Uber, he takes a wrong turn and you somehow end up on the bad side of town.
How did you miss this? You can see all of the city.
It's like, you can touch everything, but don't press this button. Someone's
What,
gonna
this
press
one?
that damn button.
Wait,
And
this one? Beep.
Oh,
yeah,
it's such a bad idea.
it's I cannot
If
fathom who would put their life into a tiny little airplane's hands.
look, if we want to get more cars off the road, which I agree is probably a pretty good idea considering the amount of damage individual driving does, then cities and companies need to invest in trolleys and trains to make commuting across towns easier. Simply put, that's it. you know, for areas like ours where things are spread out and it's like negative 30 degrees on a random January day. It's not very fun to have to walk somewhere to be environmentally friendly. Um,
Right.
cities need to invest in electric trolleys and electric trains to transport citizens and make commuting easier if they want to deal with emissions and stuff like that. Just my 2 cents on that.
Make a subway system, but
Elon, where are you with that boring company? God damn it.
he's too busy smoking weed. He'll be back later.
He's just chilling with Joe Rogan doing DMT. Uh, what else at CES did you see that you guys want to talk about? Anything?
Just just the little stuff, really.
Yeah.
Uh, I think AMD also dropped the Ryzen 4 4000 series processors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just a little kickoff.
Yeah.
I mean, which the 3 series has always, I mean, it's fresh
Mm-hmm.
from just last year, just kicking off last year. So,
Yeah.
you know, they haven't really brought anything to the table, like showed what, you know, what's up. It, I mean, they made the inevitable announcement that the 4000 series is coming out.
Yeah.
So,
Cool. Anything else, guys, that we want to talk about? Otherwise, we can start wrapping up the show.
I'm good.
Alrighty.
I don't have anything.
All right, Mr. Hagen, tell us what's coming up with you and how people can find all of your stuff.
Yeah, so with Wasteland Active Radio, we have I said at the beginning of the show, we have our second season coming up in a week from tomorrow, January 22nd. The episode I have the episode scheduled to release at about 11 a.m., but obviously you can listen to it at any time past that. That's Central Time. But yeah, we have all new characters. Well, we have our main. If you've listened to any of season 1, if you haven't, I highly encourage you to do. But if you listen to any of season 1, the main characters from season 1 are most of them anyway, are still active. But we're bringing in all new characters as well. Season 2 also features our very first guest appearance. I won't go into spoilers as to say who the guest is or who their character is. You'll find out when it launches. But yeah, just if you haven't seen it yet, be sure to go to visit wastelandactiveradio.com. Visit our web store, check that stuff out. Check out our Facebook page, Wasteland Active Radio -Revival. And you can also check us out on Instagram. It's at WARR podcast. And yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. And for any other personal stuff that you want to get out there, do you have any like socials that you want to mention as well?
Not really. Most of my other projects are slow moving at the moment. We're working on some other stuff. I guess I will mention I have a band. We're called the Zachary Daniels Band. And we are working on a new EP right now. We have one album out right now that's on Spotify, iTunes, all that stuff, called Evolve. Zachary Daniel. We play pop rock, alternative rock style music. That's ZACHARY Daniels band. The ARY is very important, as I have recently found out that there is a Zach Daniels band that plays country. And so the ARY, I always have to stress that now so people don't get us confused.
Mhm.
But yeah, besides that, no, mainly just go check out my podcast, yo.
Awesome. And anyone that is watching live, Mr. Greenlee did put links in the chat. Anyone that is
Thank you
listening,
very much, Green.
yes, thank you very much. Anyone that is listening, audio only, links to all of the stuff will be down below in the episode description. So be sure to go check that out. Mr. Greenlee, what is coming up on your channel?
I'm actually gonna jump on after the podcast, and Apex dropped the soiree event, which is I'm not sure exactly how long it's gonna be, but it's different game modes that they're gonna be playing, releasing. And I think it's on like a rotation, which is pretty exciting. Check out the trailer for that. Which actually I've rekindled my Apex kick a couple, I would say, last week, and I've really been digging playing Apex again. But other than that, it's just the same old Apex stuff too.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can always catch me on Twitch, which is the twitch.tv/Mr. Greenlee, or you can catch me on Instagram, Twitter. I have a Facebook, all the fancy stuff. So.
Awesome. It's because Rev isn't here, I will go for him. Guys, go check out our other co-host, RevSven, on twitch.tv/RevSven. You guys can also find him on Twitter, RevSvenTTV, is I believe his handle.
Just one T.
Just one T?
Yep.
And then you can also find him on Instagram. He will be going to PaxSouth next week. So make sure you guys go and check out his Twitter timeline, see if you guys can meet up with him. He actually has NTN stickers. So if you guys go see RevSven at PaxSouth, ask him for a sticker. He might be able to get one, if he hasn't given them all away already. And so we'll be talking about PaxSouth next week with our guest. I'm not going to say who our guest is, just for safety's sake here. He will also be doing, because RevSven had an issue with his Airbnb. He will be doing a stream tomorrow night, a scare-a-thon, to help kind of make up the difference between the Airbnb and his hotel cost for PaxSouth. So go on ahead and head over to RevSven's channel and hit him up. Hit him with some good donations and some subs and stuff tomorrow night. If you guys are listening to this the night it comes out. Other than that, coming up on my channel, I'll probably be playing some Apex Legends. I kind of enjoyed doing that the last couple nights. Darwin Project came out with a full release this week. So I'll be going back to Darwin Project probably tomorrow night. Tomorrow night I'll be doing Darwin Project. And we'll probably talk about that here in the coming weeks, talking about the full release. Other than that, to wrap things up, be sure to follow everyone on their individual channels and social media accounts, guys. We really do appreciate that. That lets us know that you are wanting to hear from us and that you guys like what we're doing here. If you guys joined us live on Twitch, we appreciate you for being here. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you missed any part of the show, you guys can watch the VOD here on Twitch or on YouTube. If you guys want to take us on the go, then you guys can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcast. We're also on TuneIn, and we're on a platform called Swoot as well, which if you guys are in the live chat, there is a referral link. If you guys click on the referral link that I provide, you guys get $1 to donate to a show of your choice. Doesn't have to be us. It can be Wasteland Active Radio. It can be our friends Budget Arcade or Tessa and Elliot Argue, our friends Just Think. It could be any podcast that you want. And then I also get $1 to donate as well to any podcast that I want. So that's a great way to help support us. And if you guys want a social platform, you guys can follow me on Swoot, and you guys can see what I'm listening to and what I recommend you guys listen to as well. It's an awesome platform to be on. If you guys do like what you see here, what we do here, and want to support us, you guys can leave a rating and review on the podcast platform of your choice. We really do appreciate that. You guys can also help us out by telling your friends about the show and tweeting out our links and all of that wonderful stuff. Once again, guys, thank you for listening. You have a wonderful rest of your week. We appreciate you guys being here. And be sure to support our guest, Mr. Hagen. Guys, absolutely anything else that we want to talk about right now?
Just that we love each and every one of these viewers.
Yes.
And each and every listener. You all are fantastic. I love you all.
Yes, you guys are absolutely amazing. Guys, until next week, goodbye.